Bang, Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife, Kara, is at work. And today we are going over my most reliable budget knives. And then some budget knives that weren't so reliable. So first up, I want to mention that we are doing a massive giveaway to our next patron winner. So if you become a Patreon, we are going to do a full-blown full EDC giveaway. So we're going to add all the little extras that people like to have in their EDC, in their pockets, or on their person. So it's going to be pretty badass. I'm going to reveal it next week, but I'm telling you guys want to get on this this giveaway. Anyways, let's get to this. Best Tech Werewolf. This thing, you know, when I watched all the reviews and, you know, stuff like that and people talking about how great they were, I didn't realize how badass they actually were. This thing's action is just amazing. The drop on it, I mean, you see how smooth this thing is. I mean, it just drops, but like how comfortable that flipper tab is, how easily you can unlock it, and it's just locked up so strong. And no matter how much I use this thing, the lockup don't change. I mean, this thing's just been super good. It's D2, G10. These things are around 40 bucks. Now, when I say budget knives, I'm gonna try to stick around 50 bucks. There might be 2 or maybe 3 knives that are in the $65 range, but I'll mention them. Next up. Now, this is one that was reliable till it wasn't. Okay, this is the Rake P801. Don't get me wrong, this is an amazing knife, and I still love this knife, but it wound up getting some lock rock. So I had to straighten it up, and you see how late the lockup is now. So it doesn't have very early lockup, and every once in a while starts getting that detent, the lock rock again. Now, if I, you know, mess with the pivot enough, I get it to where it's locked up really good, but you know, it's not as reliable as it was at one time. This used to be a beast of a knife, and you know, just it put in its work. Let's just say that it put its work in. Next up, now these, I gotta mention something right when I show you guys these, the rats. Okay, everybody knows these rats, but Brigade New York. I'm going to show his channel. I'm gonna link it down below. Please go check his videos out, because he just made a whole bunch of videos. He did a bare knuckle, or no, sorry. He did a Kershaw knockout. He did some rats. He did a tenacious and a couple other knives. The point is, he beat them until they're done. I mean, you just go watch the videos. It's great, hilarious, great guy. His name's Alex. I love the dude to death, and his videos are hilarious, and he beats the tar out of these things until they're non-existent. So go check it out. But these are the rats, and this one was modified by BJ Hilltop Knives. Did an amazing job. He's the one who gifted me these knives, and you know, I never had a rat 1 till I got these. We also had a rat 2, and these knives are just, man, you know what? Go watch that video and you'll see what's so good about these knives. I'll tell you what. But these ones are AUS 8 G10, or actually I think this is FRN. FRN AUS 8. You can get them in D2, but just incredibly well-ground knives, nice and thin. Very good ergos, and they're just strong, man. Tough liners. Now, the liners usually lock up a little late, but not a big deal, as long as they don't get the lock rock. Okay, now here's one that I thought was reliable. Here we go. And I know you guys are looking at it like, what? The Sevilla Hooligan? It's a Sevilla. Yeah, well, it was reliable until it wasn't. Now, I'm going to have to tune it up. I haven't tuned it up yet, but listen. That's lock play. It's not even lock rock, because the lock isn't going back and forth or nothing. It's just there's room there, so it's lock play. So I'm gonna have to push the lock over a little bit. Let me know if you guys want to see a video on that. I don't know if you guys care about how to fix lock rock or not, but there you go. Or lock play, I should say. Lock rock or lock play, you know, I can fix them the same way. Next up, okay, here is, where'd it go? Okay, now here's one. Everybody knows this. The Kershaw Bareknuckle. This thing's amazing. This one's the 14C28 on Sandvik steel. And no matter how much I beat on this thing, Lockup is still the same, nice and strong. Now you're going to look at it and say, that's not centered, but it is. It's just this thing's been beat on so much that from here to here, it's got a slight bend from when I stuck it in a tree. You know what though? It doesn't even matter. The action's still perfect. Everything works good. And you can't notice that from the use. You can't barely even tell. I mean, you don't notice it until you center it. Okay, next up. All right, here's another one that was reliable until it wasn't. This is the Ganz Ohf F750, and man, I'll tell you what, this thing was a workhorse for me. It really was. G10, 440C, but starting to get a little lock play. Not a big deal, man. This thing put in its work, I'll tell you that much. So I was surprised how much abuse this thing actually took. And how many flips and how many fidgets until now. And you know what? It's still reliable. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's still reliable. It's just I got a little shake in there. Here's a Gandil that is still going. This one is the F750. I don't like these fake carbon fiber scales. I would have rather see this in G10. But man, the action is just good. It's locked up like a rock. Look at this. I mean, this is an access lock knife with 440C that you can get for $20. I mean, amazing. And you can get it in G10, so you don't have to get it in this stuff. Action is great. You usually have to break in the access locks because they're really strong, a lot stronger than Benchmades or any other ones, but they break in really nice, and then they're wonderful. All right, next up. Okay, let's go through a few in a row really quickly. Just to get the show on the road. Sevilla Alimentum, amazing knife. Sevilla's do a killer job. That Hooligan is kind of a, you know, I don't know. It's a weird, you know, something weird happened. I don't know. Most Sevillas are very durable and very reliable. This thing is an insane slicer, amazing ergos, and one of my all-time favorite budget knives. Yeah, it's big, but it doesn't feel like it when it's in hand. It's a great knife. All right, next up, Boker Eros. I've shown this knife many times. One of the best budget buys you can get. Carbon fiber, titanium, and D2. I etched the blade. It was originally a satin blade. Look at this action. This is the best action I have on a budget knife. And I mean the deployment, even the drop on it. It's very smooth. And listen to that detent. You can just hear the detent. I mean, crazy good. But the action on deployment, I mean, it just fires like a rocket. All right, here's another one. This is a CM This is a 12C27 Sandvik steel. Oh, I didn't show the centering on these other ones. But this one, it's completely centered, and I've beat the tar out of this thing. The Sevilla, same thing. Sevillas are always centered. This one, if it's off a little bit, I just got to turn the pivot a little bit if it is slightly off. All these knives get perfectly centered, perfect lockup. And one thing that is one of the criterias on most of these is the nice early lockup. Even though I've given them lots of abuse, yeah, the lockup or the lock bar has settled into a good position, but they're not late lockups or nothing like that. I showed you the rake, and then I told you about the rats. Rats are just like that. But this one, nice early lockup. I mean, nice centering, perfect centering. And if it's off a little bit, which I don't think it is, I can just turn the pivot. This thing is very reliable. It does have a little bit of a recurve blade. I don't like that lettering right there, the Chinese lettering. But it's such a good knife. Deep carry pocket clip. It does have this little lock right there, not a big deal. I guess some people might want to do that. Great thumb stud action. And then it's got the Shadow Box G10, a real G10. Great action. Love that knife. It's only 25 bucks. All right. This is the Real Steel Griffin button lock. Has been incredibly reliable. I never would have thought that a button lock could be this locked up, this smooth, for this long and this much damage. You see where I've just nicked it up from, you know, from like cutting stuff and it going through and scratching right there. I mean, it is aluminum scales. I think this is like 65 bucks. Just an amazing knife. I mean, it's super smooth. It has needle bearings. That's why it's so smooth. But yeah, great knife. And that's the real steel Griffin. I'm sorry if I didn't say it. And 14C28N, one of my all-time favorite budget steel. All right, I have both of these, the FH11 and the FH12, and I don't have the 13, I don't think. But this thing is literally the smoothest knife I have, and it's $25. Look at that action. Look at this. I couldn't stop this thing from falling, not if I wanted to. The action opening is really good. I mean, it's just incredibly smooth. And very early lockup, locked up like a champ. I mean, literally, you can't even muscle nothing out of this thing. And I've used the heck out of this thing. And I do have the G10 version, which I originally thought the G10 version was a little bit better. Now I love this one. It just looks good, man. It's just a good looking knife. D2, stainless steel. Yeah, it's a little heavy, but not bad because it's so thin. Nice deep carry pocket clip. Great knife. Okay, another Best Tech. This is the Best Tech Paladin. This thing is so good. Nice centering. Oh, I didn't show the centering on the FH. Perfect centering. Nice, good centering. The action, stupid good. The ergos are stupid good. It's got easy access to the lock bar. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. All these knives have great access to the lock bars. The ergos are so good, the way how this like kind of cants down almost into a straight back. Then it has this little notch right there. It just fits so good. I love this knife. Not too big on the orange, but you know what though? I do construction and everything, so it's kind of like a construction knife in my eyes. And it's grown on me. I actually like it. And on camera, it looks really good. And I could dye it if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna, as it just looks so good. Nice slicey blade. It's got pretty good blade geometry. Gets stupid sharp. D2. G10, nice clip. The clip works really well. Not deep carry, but it works really well. Very reliable knife. Now, I have a lot of Tucson's that are, you know, in the $60, $65 range, and I'm not really going to bust out because it's starting to get over, you know, too far over the budget range, and they're all titanium, and you know, I get them for a budget, but they're not really budget knives. But here, I'm going to show this one. This one did wind up getting a little bit of lock rock, so I'm going to just mention that right off the bat. You know, so it was reliable until it wasn't. I fixed it, so it's not bad no more. But now it's got, you know, it's still early lockup, I guess, but it's a little later than it was in the. It's a little tighter right here than it was before, but I still love this knife. This is a great hard use knife. It kind of reminds me of like a titanium 940, but very reliable. And it was my fault why it became unreliable. One, I beat the tar out of it. Two, I modified it, and you can see I modified the heck out of it, and then it wound up getting just some tiny bit of lock rock, and I fixed it, so it's not there no more, so it's back to reliable, but it did at one point get unreliable on me. Okay, next up, this is the Kaiser, oh shit, I didn't even mention, I'm sorry guys, this is the Tucson TS14. I think that's right. TS16. Man, all these names. TS16. Sorry, D2 and titanium. All titanium. Very, very good. Tucson's are, man, those are just great knives. Okay, so now this is the Kaiser Mini Sheepdog. And man, I would have thought from fidgeting with this thing so much that it would eventually get lock rock. It would eventually something, you know? Nope. Perfectly centered. I can middle finger flick it, I can thumb flick it, and it's an all-around great knife. And I think the reason why I can middle finger flick it so easily is because we etched the blade, so it gave it just a tiny bit of texture. But yeah, very smooth. This thing is one of the most fidgety knives. It just feels good to just sit here and fidget with it. Really like it, very reliable. It is D2, I think, no, I'm sorry. It was VG10 and G10, because if you notice, I don't think I can get it to come up, but VG10 makes like these lines. Let's see if I can get it to come up. When you etch the steel, I don't know if I can get it to come up, guys. Okay, see like the lines going back and forth in the etch. Don't look at the satin part. Just look at the, like, how it has like a pattern. I noticed that VG10 can do that when you etch the blade. Okay, this is a fixed blade. Great knife. The Buck Mesa 440C micarta. It's one of the most comfortable fixed blades I've ever held. Beautiful micarta. You just see, that's good micarta. Guess how much I got this for? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to a camera. $17 at Walmart on one of those clearance sales. Now, if you go on Amazon, I've seen them for $50, but you can go to Walmart and find them under the table, under the desk, under clearance for like $25. I talked them down to 17 because the package was a little messed up, but nothing was wrong with the knife. Very reliable knife, 5-inch blade. Man, this thing's just been a workhorse. Oh yeah, and a nice hollow ground blade. Now see, a lot, that's stuff on there from using it. But a lot of fixed blades are, you know, flat grinds, and this one's a nice hollow ground blade, so it's going to stay nice and thin behind the edge for a fixed blade. Remember that. Okay, this is the SOG Terminus XR. Now you can get these in G10, but this one is the CTS BD1Z. No, BDZ1. Now they do make them in D2 for like $40-something or something like that. Get one of these. SOG, I don't know what was up with them for the past however many years, but they came back. This is one of the best access locks I've ever felt. It is on bearings. Listen. I don't know why some people, I've heard some people say like, oh, they wish they didn't have thumb studs, and I've heard some people say, oh, I wish they would have took out the flipper tab. I like it all, man. Great flipping action, great thumb stud action. You can middle finger flick it. Just a very, very reliable, good knife. Perfect centering. I mean, this thing is just, it's great. It's such a tough knife. I really, really like this. SOG, you killed it with this. And I know they're doing a bunch of other XRs. Okay, let's get through these quickly. All right, this is the Sevilla Alimentum. Nice and perfect centering. This thing has just been incredible. Everybody knows about the Alimentum, so I'm just going to leave this one short. D2, G10, shadow box G10, deep carry clip. Super reliable. This is probably the best EDC knife. Like if you're going to recommend an EDC knife for somebody, the action, so good. And it's just nice hollow ground blade, nice and thin behind the edge. Okay, this one's still going, okay? So, but it's on, it's on its last leg. Let me just say that. And like I said, Blade Brigade beat one of these to death. I mean, to death. And it held its own. Let me just say that. It held its own. And this one's still holding its own. 100% lockup, damn near. It's like 99%. It's probably at 100. It's probably just hitting the D10 ball. I don't know. But even though it's got that late-ass lockup, this thing is still locked up solid. Now listen to this. That is the spring on the inside. I need to throw like some grease or something in there to stop it from waddling around. Now when I close it, you don't hear it, but still fires reliably. This thing still is reliable. The centering is off, so I'll mention it. Excuse me, my voice cracked. The centering is off. So, you know, like I said, it's on its last leg, but still doing good. And it's been through hell and back. Here's another one that surprised me how reliable it's actually been. This is actually Kara's knife. I love the action. The access to the lock bar is really good. I hate the FRN. Hate it. But I got to give it credit, man. It's got a great clip. Look at that clip. Nothing in the way. Crazy good action, great finger choil. This one is 8CR, so it is some 8CR 13 MOV, but it's been super reliable. And if it's almost centered there, but it does get perfectly centered. Yeah, I'm surprised how good these things really are. These things are amazing. Okay, just a few more. Let's get to them. Okay, now this thing's a tank. Okay, so first up, this thing is a great budget hard use knife. Now, yes, it's full G10 on this side and steel on this side, but it's thick steel. Look how thick that lock bar is. This thing is so smooth. Look at this. super smooth. The action's really good. And this G10 is so thick on this side. No, it doesn't have any steel liners or anything, but it's just so thick. It's not going to break, guys. I mean, this thing is great. Look at how big the hardware is. I'm trying to think of the designer. It's, I'll throw it on the screen. I forget the name of him. I normally know it, but there's a symbol. It's a skull. Anyways, very, very good knife. I'm almost thinking about giving this to one of you guys as a hard use knife, because this thing is a beast. And it's a great knife. I put a good edge on there, nice and centered. It's been super reliable. And it seems like the more I play with it, the more I use it, the better it gets. Okay, couple more. VBE Chronic. This thing has, you know, it's very reliable. I haven't had it crazy long time, but it's just everything's locked up so good on it. It's such a good slicer. And it's like very, like when I use it like a razor, which I know all knives are used as razors, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like I use it like I would almost like a box cutter. It's just super thin behind the edge. The action's really good. Very skinny in the pocket. You won't even know this thing's in your pocket. I mean, it's just great action. They also have the other knife right now that's a front flipper version of this with a drop point if you don't like the clip point. So, but it's got the external stop pins right there. It's internal, external. It's kind of in the mix, but the stop pins are right there hooked to the blade, and they act as the lockup and the closing. Very good though. And lockups like that are very reliable. Well, they can be very reliable. This one, I hope I don't get any crap for. A lot of people try to say it's a clone, it's this, it's that. This isn't a clone to me. This is made by Sandra Mu, which is, it's land. Yes, it looks just like a Sebenza, if Sebenza's made liner locks, which they do not. So, but it has like the blue thumb stud and the blue lanyard hole, which is a thing from Sebenza. So I know it has some attributes, but this thing is crazy good. 25 bucks, Sandvik steel, 12C27. Look how big this stop pin is. I don't see stop pins this big on $100 knives, $200 knives. This thing has great lockup, nice, easy access to the lock bar, stupid smooth. The action is so good. It's, I mean, very easy to manipulate. And these thumb studs, even though they are like a Sebenza's, they feel a lot more comfortable, I should say. The clip works really good, just like a Sebenza's. But this thing's not a Sebenza. Nobody thinks this thing's a Sebenza. They really don't. It's a land knife. They plaster it all over it. But the ergos, this is some of the best ergos you know, I know on a knife. It's just so good, so comfortable. It's got the rounded but yet straight, and then it makes it to where you can put your fingers anywhere you want to. It has a flat ground blade, not a hollow. I wish it did have the hollow, but then people would just say it's that much more of a clone. To me, this ain't a clone. This is an inspired knife for sure, very inspired, but I can think of 100 knives that look a lot like another knife that people would never call out just because they're a name brand. All right, I'm going to throw out just a couple more really quick. This one is the Cabelas knife. I've recently gotten this. I haven't had it very long. I've given it a few sharpenings, but so far so good. Very locked up. These things are only 20 bucks. Very, very good action. The detent is really nice. Now, the lock bar's starting to move over the more I use it. It's still nice and early, but I've noticed it's settling in there. We'll see how this one goes, but so far, great action. It does have a little bit of a recurve. It's 440C, and then G10 that is milled out. I mean, this G10 is very grippy, very nice deep carry clip. And I never knew that Cabelas made knives these good. I mean, this is a really, really good knife for 20 bucks. I even seen ones like this with just a regular drop point and real micarta for like I think 30 bucks. I mean, it might have been 40 bucks. Okay, now this is the AKB Protector. This one is in D2. This thing took the sharpest edge I've ever felt on D2. It does have a hollow ground blade. It's been very reliable. Now the lockup is starting to move over a little bit more, but it's been very reliable, very strong, and it's got good action. I don't think the ergos are the best because it gets this little thin spot right there, but it's not a bad knife. And for like 20, 30 bucks, you know, it's not bad. Now, would I recommend this? Probably not, just because for the same price, I can think of 20 other knives that I'd recommend a little bit more than this. But it's still a very reliable knife, and so far so good. It hasn't taken a crap on me, so I got to give it credit, right? I can't leave it out if, whatever. All right, this is the Best Tech, not Parrot, the hell is it called? The Best Tech bird. I don't remember the name. It's the Best Tech something sounds like a bird. Great knife. It does have that big recurve, that nasty recurve, but this is Best Tech. And this thing is so far so good. Now, is it going to mess up in the future? I don't know. But so far, nice and centered. Action is very, very good. Easy access to the lock bar. You guys know I love that. The ergos, this thing is amazing. Literally your hand fits on it like a glove. Fits really good. Great blade geometry. It's nice and thin all around here. And then it's got a nice tip for that. You can use the belly. The blade shape looks crazy. I'll tell you what, it was very easy to sharpen. And it's very, very useful. All right, I'm just going to throw up one or two more, and then we're going to end this. This is the Kaiser V3 Vigor. We've had this probably longer than any of these knives. This is one of the smoothest knives I've ever felt. I mean, it is ridiculously smooth. Ridiculously smooth. And it's one of the older models of Kaiser when they were putting what were they putting? They were putting phosphor bronze and Teflon on both sides, which just makes a ridiculously smooth action. They did make a bigger titanium version of this. I would have loved to get that. I don't know if they still make it or not, but this thing has just been super reliable. Easy access to the lock bar. The lock bar hasn't moved a bit. Nice and centered. This thing has just been stupid reliable. I mean, it's not a nice compound grind, hollow with a flat on the tip. Very smooth. It's a smaller knife, but it's just served. I got to give it credit, man. It's just held up, and Keras beat that out of this knife. All right. Let's see. I could pull out a couple more, but I'm not gonna. Maybe I'm gonna pull up two more. All right. This one is the STANT Gear Ausis. Got to give this thing credit. The lockup is starting to move, but perfectly locked up. Very nice. I mean, this thing's just been so good to me. Nice big thumb studs. Very easy access to the lock bar. It has pretty good ergos, even for how squared up it is. It'd feel better if it was rounded. But man, it's kind of a hard use knife. I don't know if I'd consider actual hard use. It's probably medium use. Let's call it medium use. It's not light duty use. It's not full on hard use, but it's a good knife. It is thick behind the edge, but it still cuts really good. And I'll tell you what, when you get them thick behind the edge like this, when they're nice and tall, you can lay that edge back and damn, do they get stupid sharp. D2 micarta, beautiful micarta. I really like this micarta. But yeah, all right, one more and then I'm going to end it. All right, this is one that's not reliable no more, but I'll tell you what, it did its purpose. It's still perfectly centered. Action, retarded action. When I first got it, the action wasn't as good as it is now, but after it broke in, it's just so good. Great blade geometry, and this is a damn M&P M20. I would have never thought that they would make a knife this good. It's not assisted. It's got amazing blade geometry. Nice hollow ground blade. It is HCR. Gets stupid sharp. But just recently, the lock bar, look how far the lock bar's moved over. So I'm not trusting it no more. It's moved over just a little too far for my liking. It's still locked up good, but I'm going to consider this one starting to fail because I figure it's probably got about 200 more flips, maybe 300 more flips, and it's going to be done. So it's on its last leg. There you guys go. Love you guys. That was my list. Peace.